Welcome to Light Up. Death is a pretty serious subject most of the time. It may feel pretty dark to admit it, but sometimes things happen and we end up with demises that are funny. Call it cruel, call it morbid humor, or just call it macabre, but it's hard to deny that sometimes lives end in ways that are so ironic or absurd, it's hard not to stifle a chuckle. Two friends decided to play catch with a rattlesnake in 1995. A pair of friends in Alabama were drinking heavily. Junior Bright and Joe Buddy Caine came across a 4-foot rattlesnake and decided to pick the creature up. They then began tossing the snake back and forth in an ill-conceived game of catch. The snake bit Bright on the hand, and then when Caine tried to off it, it bit him as well. When paramedics arrived, they were both semiconscious, and Caine went into cardiac arrest. He passed on the way to the hospital. A health enthusiast had too much carrot juice. Basil Brown drank tons of carrot juice every day, and supposedly drank 10 gallons in the period of a single week. Unfortunately, this was enough to give him some pretty bad vitamin A poisoning, which resulted in liver cirrhosis. A man shot a cactus, then the cactus fell on him. In 1982, a pair of friends were wandering the deserts of Arizona. The two men decided it might be fun to start firing on the saguaro cactuses that littered the landscape around them. One of the friends, David Grunman, began blasting the cactuses so many times the plants fell over. However, as he hit one cactus from 10 feet away, one of the arms of the cactus broke off and went flying. It fell on Grunman, ending his life. A man succumbed to an atomic wedgie. Many of you have probably heard of the legendary atomic wedgie. According to kid lore, this type of wedgie is achieved when you pull someone's underwear up from the back of their pants, then put the waistband all the way over their head, all while the underwear is still being worn. In 2013 in Oklahoma, a man and his adult stepson were doing some drinking. The son, Brad Davis, got the idea in his head that he should give his dad an atomic wedgie. They were arguing, and when Davis saw the opportunity, he jumped on it. Unfortunately, the underwear became wrapped around his stepfather's throat, and he strangled before anything could be done. Davis was sent to jail for manslaughter, even though he claims the whole thing was an accident. A coffin builder was offed by his own creations. In 1982, a French coffin builder by the name of Marc Bourget was supposedly in his workshop when a stack of coffins suddenly became unsteady. They fell on him, smashing him underneath. He was interred in one of those coffins. And he died. King Charles II of Navarre was accidentally burned by his nurse. As the health of King Charles II of Navarre waned in the late 1300s, he turned to a physician for help. The doctor wrapped him from head to toe in linen cloth and then coated him in brandy. He was sewn into the bandages, but the nurse who was sewing him in had forgotten her scissors. Not to be deterred, the nurse took a candle and tried to use it to cut the thread. Instead, she lit the king ablaze due to the brandy and very flammable linen covering him. A Greek politician was pelted by gifts. Draco was the first recorded legislator of Athens back around 600 BC, and he was incredibly well liked, even though his laws were intensely harsh, thus the term draconian. On one trip to a theater on Aegina, thousands of citizens were so thrilled to see him they began throwing gifts. They kept throwing cloaks and hats, and they wouldn't stop, even as the gifts began to pile up. The cloaks covered him until he was smothered. A teen used too much deodorant. A 16-year-old boy in Folkestone, England, had become obsessed with smelling good and was hoarding spray on deodorant for that purpose. He would use cans and cans of the stuff every day until eventually it took its toll on him. The boy was found in his room, having succumbed to butane gas inhalation. In short, he sprayed his body with so much deodorant that he couldn't get enough oxygen. A man tripped over his own beard. A man named Hans Steininger once claimed to have the world's longest beard. It was over 1.5 meters long, and he showed it off with pride. Unfortunately, it was also his undoing. One day there was a fire and he realized he had to flee his home. In his rush, however, he had trouble wrangling his beard and tripped over it. He lost his balance and fell to the ground, breaking his neck, and he died. A poet tried to kiss the moon. Li Bai was a prolific Chinese poet from 701 to 762, who paid particular attention to romance. The story goes that Li was in a boat on the river, drinking and celebrating life. He spotted the moon's reflection in the river and instantly fell in love with it. After calling to his new love, he reached out over the side of the boat to embrace and kiss the moon's reflection. Unfortunately, he toppled overboard and perished underwater. Thank you for watching. Keep supporting our channel, like, share, and subscribe. Light up.